Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are looking at a stack of technical specs and feature overviews to really get into streamlining fashion and textile production.
Yeah, it is sort of tackling that classic last mile problem of manufacturing. You have this perfect design on your screen, but getting it onto paper and actually cut out is where things usually get pretty messy.
Right, exactly. And the device we are focusing on to solve this is the Velocity Pattern Plotter Cutter.
Yep. And our mission for this deep dive is really to explain the core concept of dual functionality to you, especially if you might not be super familiar with how modern pattern plotters work.
So let us unpack that. I mean, what does dual functionality actually mean in this context?
Well, it is essentially combining two very distinct manufacturing steps into just one machine. So step one is high-resolution inkjet printing.
And it uses standard HP number 45 cartridges for that, right? For the vector lines, the annotations, and technical symbols.
Exactly. Which is great because those cartridges are cheap and available everywhere. But then step two is the precision blade cutting or perforating. And the real key advantage here is that you do not need to switch devices.
Or even reposition the materials between printing and cutting, which I imagine saves a ton of time and floor space.
Space, labor, and most importantly, it prevents those alignment errors you get when someone literally carries a roll of paper across the room to a cutting table. You do not get that drift.
You don't lose that precision. That makes sense. So physically, looking at the sizes available, there is a 49-inch for standard production and a 64-inch model for wide format or large-scale jobs.
Yeah, the 64-inch is huge for efficiency. And it handled all the standard materials you would expect. So pattern paper like manila and tag, craft brown paper, and just standard plotter paper.
What about the digital ecosystem, though? Does it play nice with existing setups?
It does. It connects via USB 2.0 or a LAN Ethernet connection. And it is compatible with all the major CAD software. We are talking Gerber Acamark, Optitex, Tucatec, Electra.
Okay, so the heavy hitters. And it supports standard formats like PLT and HPGL files.
Exactly. It isn't trying to lock you into some walled garden. And even if you do not have a CAD system yet, there is a built-in safety net.
Oh, right, the Velocity Control Center software.
Yes. It comes included with the machine to help you manage and process files without needing a massive enterprise CAD suite.
Which is such a smart feature for scaling businesses. Another thing that stood out in the specs is the accuracy assurance. It reads data directly from the CAD system.
That is critical. It ensures the machine never alters the scale or proportions of the pattern pieces to try and fit the paper. What you see on screen is exactly what gets cut.
Because a 2% shift in a sleeve scale would just be a disaster. So the main takeaway here really is that the Velocity Pattern Plotter Cutter takes this multi-step, multi-machine headache and turns it into a single, seamless workflow.
Yeah, it is all about removing the friction between a digital design and having a physical production-ready pattern in your hands.
It makes that step practically invisible, which leaves you with a pretty wild thought. If the transition from design to physical material becomes this instant and totally hands-off,
The whole production cycle changes.
exactly. How much faster can fashion trends move from a sketch on a screen to a physical garment on a rack? If that barrier to entry drops to zero, are we headed toward instant fashion? Something for you to mull over. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.